Thank you. Okay, this is our first call to the public. Hearing none, we will move on to agenda items. Our community development director is currently out right now. So moving to item A, I will entertain a motion to accept the CDBG grant closeout report and place it on file in the county administrator's office.
So moved.
Support.
All right, we have a motion with support. Discussion.
Very briefly, so this was a site readiness grant for the greater Durand area. This started about 3.5 years ago, and this is not unusual. This has happened a couple of times where money comes to us and then the SCDP uses that money to conduct site readiness studies for that area because it has to go to a government entity from the state. And so we've sat in that position. This did start off as a much smaller scope of work, and over the last 3.5 years, the state provided additional funding, totaling about $900,000, $960,000 for the study. The county did not contribute anything towards it. And then there will be a hearing on this where Justin and Brent will be here on Wednesday to discuss the full scope of it with you. But it's the result is a 1,200-page study that looks at the area from water, roads, utilities, archaeological, plant and vegetation, animal life, etc. for that region.
Amazing. Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of moving this on to Wednesday, please signify by signifying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. This brings us to our second call to the public. Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned.
2 minutes.
All right, let's start this committee meeting with a pledge of allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Call to the public, which brings us to Julie.
Good evening, everybody. Right now in the treasurer's office, picking up a little bit because people with 2021 taxes owing were notified that names go in the newspaper in the winter. So normally they go in December or have in the past, but this year it's a January date they'll be going in. So that always picks things up because people do not want to see their names in the paper if they can help it. But it is part of the process, just making sure people are notified. It's not to shame anybody. It's just a form of notification for people who are possibly in danger of foreclosure. December gets busy with our dog licenses going on sale the 1st. I know there's some concerns about the vets not being able to sell, or the townships. I reached out to BSNA. The one gal I spoke with said no, they will not sell the program to the vets, or townships would have an option. but she didn't give me a cost or anything. I reached back out in an email last Wednesday, and I have not heard anything back from them. I again asked if the vets could purchase. It's good service for them to give their customers, but I haven't heard back. So still kind of looking at that. But I think the licenses will be being sold in our office. That's what it looks like for this year. Land Bank met last week. We are working on round 3 and 4 for blight elimination program. We came up with some properties for the round 3 totaling approximately $500,000. And blight elimination is not just demo, it is also stabilization or helping to rehab a building so that it does not become a danger or does not become a problem. We came up with a property in Morris, Bancroft, and then 3 different properties in Owasso and Owasso Charter Township. So we kind of spread them out a bit. Not sure yet if those will be the definite. We don't have a definite answer on those. But they all look like good projects to us, and then working on round 4 coming up. So again, nothing definite there, but that's keeping us busy right now, looking at those properties and working on those things right now. Other than that, I think that covers it. Sure, Gary.
The people that are behind in their taxes, do they get another notice or not?
Oh, they get plenty of notices.
Oh,
yeah.
I just thought I'd ask because sometimes it could be pushed away and
Right.
forget about it or something.
We send a couple just normal postmark through our office in June and September. Title Check sends out the certified mailings, so they get a few different certified letters mailed
Thanks.
To them, and those are tracked. We can look in the system and it'll know whether, yes, they signed for it, or nobody was home, or they were, however they were dealt with. So they're tracked pretty closely, so we can verify whether somebody got the notice, whether it went to the right address, those sorts of things. There are lots of opportunities to notify people. And I try to keep people's phone numbers in our system. When I talk to somebody, I put their phone number in, and when it starts getting crunch time, I'm personally making phone calls to make sure. Are you aware? I try my darndest to not have somebody be foreclosed on if we can help it. Any other questions?
Nope, doesn't look like it, so.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, our first agenda item, I'll entertain a motion to approve the Shiawassee County Board of Commissioners budget resolution for fiscal year 2024.
So support.
Moved and supported, Dr. Bob.
So very briefly, we've met with every department, Commissioner Brodeur and the Chair of Finance, Cindy Garber. We've constructed our budget. It is balanced to 0, which means that the revenue coming in matches the expenditures going out. You will notice that overall this budget is less than it was last year by about $3 million. That's because the ARPA money went through the general fund to pay the contractors on the courthouse. So that's not revenue that we have, or expenditures that we have either, so it balances out. We didn't have to lay anyone off. We were able to put all of the increases in the proposed wage study, which you will receive later this week. Then we'll be talking about a special meeting depending on when the consultant is in the state so that he can come and talk to you guys about it. But there will be a separate resolution for you to approve those increases with the wage study. But right now they are all built in and everything still balances. When you count the special revenue accounts, we're up towards about a $80 million budget. So it just as kind of an FYI of how this works. This year we will do the first reading today with the final first reading on Wednesday. Next month there will be a public hearing and second reading adoption of the budget in December. And that's when you will have your budget books with all the information.
Right, any further questions, discussion?
I just know doesn't have any frills in it, any exciting things, it's just basic operations of the county. There was enough for that, we didn't add a whole bunch, there weren't a whole bunch of extra projects that can be done.
All right,
Just a question on that, were there any specific ones that we said we won't be able to do? So,
Yeah, so there was one in particular from a department head who requested the building of a storage building for about $170,000. And we have not been able to do that, and it has not, it did come up before the board last year, I believe, and the board voted down that project anyways. So that was not re-put into the budget.
yeah, I think for the most part, everybody understands that increases are just not doable.
It's pretty flat.
All right, all those in favor of moving this forward signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed the same. That will move to Wednesday. I would entertain a motion to accept the tentative agreement between AFSCME and the Shiawassee County and authorize the chair to execute the final agreement.
So moved. Support.
Moved and supported.
So AFSCME has a wage reopener for the year 2023. It is November of 2023. This is something that they do almost every single year when they have their wage reopener, is they wait until the end, and so then they get paid a lump sum towards the end. Same thing happened at the end of the year. Same thing happened last year. We actually agreed to less this year than they got last year. So last year it was 4% plus a signing bonus. This year it's 4% flat, and that's it. So that is what they're asking. 911 and the road patrol receive 5, non-reps and administration receive 3. So they're right in between in the middle.
And AFSCME is,
So that would include some of the individuals that work in the registered deeds office, the clerk's office, part of the half of the clerk's office, buildings and grounds, maintenance individuals. Treasurer's office, clerical, technical staff.
all right, any further discussion on that? All those in favor of moving this forward signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed the same. And that moves forward. I would entertain a motion to approve the retainer agreement related to litigation involving insulin prices between Shiawassee County, Whites and Luxembourg PC, Sam Bernstein Law Firm PLLC, and Bem Law Firm. Further, we move to authorize the filing of litigation or other claims on behalf of Shiawassee County in order to implement the goals of the retainer agreement. Further, we move to authorize the county coordinator to execute any documents and take any actions necessary to implement the goals of the representation outlined in the retainer agreement. Good Lord.
Eric wrote that.
I was just gonna say,
So moved. I'll support.
moved and supported.
So very much like our opioid litigation previously, we have, it has been discovered that there was a series of price fixing going on related to insulin, particularly affecting different groups, and one of the classifications is government. And so Beam and Beam have represented us in the opioid lawsuit. They reached out recently to see if we would like to continue and pursue any damages that we may be eligible for as part of the insulin settlements that will be coming from some of the same manufacturers. However, this money is going to be different than the opioid money. One, it will be less, and two, it will be completely unrestricted. Now, our only cost in doing this is the fee that Beam and Beam will take as if successful. And 44 North will be providing Beam and Beam with any necessary documentation because they are our intermediaries for healthcare. So it really should not be much of a preparation for our offices at all to participate.
Any idea on what the fee schedule
Alright, anything further on that motion? Alright, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same, and that moves forward. Our final agenda item, I would look for a motion to authorize the purchase of 4 network switches to replace failing and aging switches and a new Dell R750 server to replace an aging county server, total not to exceed $25,300.
So moved. Support.
Simply obsolete equipment that's starting to fail. If we're experiencing it with the switches, if you watch the video cameras in certain areas, people like jerk because of the buffering that's happening, so it's time for them to be replaced so that the system works properly.
Where's that located?
These ones are actually located in circuit court.
Oh,
So they were older, in the historic court building, I should say. They were older switches to begin with, and then we have added additional equipment on there as part of the remodel, and things that are still just kind of sluggish. This is actually planned and budgeted for as part of our planned maintenance anyways for the year.
Okay. Anything else? No, I certainly don't understand any of that, so. All those in favor of moving this forward signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Which brings us to our last call of the public, and we are adjourned. Thank you.
Susan, 7.